Hello guys, welcome back again. We're going to do limitation of the argument. The argument was an event an even distribution of income and wealth. So we're going to do the limitation of that argument, which is against. So the rich in third world countries squander their income on imported luxury items, hence represent substantial drains on resources extracted from the sweat and toil of common uneducated and skilled laborers. Thus the rich do not necessarily save and invest a significantly large proportion of their income. A growth strategy based on the sizable and growing income inequalities may in reality be nothing more than an opportunistic myth designed to perpetuate the invested interest and maintain the status quo of the income of the economic and political elite in that world, often at the expense of the great majority of the general population. So number one, the low income and the low level of living for the poor leads to poor health, nutrition and education. It can lower the economic productivity and thereby lead to directly and indirectly to a slower growing economy. Therefore, strategy to lift income of say 40% would contribute to productivity. 2. Raising income level of the poor will stimulate an overall increase in the demand for locally produced necessity products like food and clothing. Rising demand provides a greater stimulus for local production. This creates a broader popular participation in that growth. The rich, on the other hand, tend to spend more of their additional income on imported luxury. Number 3, a more equitable distribution of income achieved through the reduction of mass poverty can stimulate healthy economic expansion by acting as a powerful material and psychological incentive to widespread public participation in the development process. National income and standard of living. Standard of living refers to the quantity of goods and services enjoyed by a person. These goods may be provided publicly, such as in the case of healthcare or education, or they may be acquired by direct purchase. It also includes the less easily quantifiable aspect of living, such as terms and conditions of employment and general living environment. National income figures can be used to measure the standard of living at a particular point of time and over time. This is done by working out the per capita income of the country. By per capita income, we mean the value of goods and services received by the average man. Per capita income is obtained by dividing the national income by the total population. If the per capita income is high, it can be deduced that the standard of living is high. Problem of using per capita income to compare standard of living over time. The first one is the composition of output may change, e.g. more defense related goods may be produced and less spent on social services. More producer goods may be made and less consumer goods, and there may be a surplus of exports over imports, representing investment overseas. Standard of living depends on the quantity of consumer goods enjoyed. Number 2, over time prices may change. The index of retail prices may be used to express the GNP in real terms, but there are well-known problems in use of such methods. Number 3, national income may grow, but this says nothing about the distribution of that income. A small group may be much better off. Other groups may have statistic standard of living or may be worse off. Number 4, any increase in GNP per capita may be accompanied by a decline in the general quality of life. Working conditions may have deteriorated. The environment may have suffered from various forms of pollution. These non-monetary aspects are not taken into account in the estimate of the GNP. And the last and finally, the national income increases when people pay for services which they previously carried out themselves. So per capita income and international comparisons. Per capita income figures can also be used to compare the standards of living of different countries. Thus, if the per capita income of one country is higher than that of another country, the living standard in the first country can be said to be higher. There are problems in using real income per head, or into bracket per capita income, to measure the standard of living in different countries. First, there is the whole set of statistical problems, and secondly, there are a number of difficult conceptual problems or problems of interpretation. So the first one is inaccurate estimate of population. We do not have a very accurate population figures with which to divide total income. 2. Specific items which are difficult to estimate. Data for depreciation and for net factor income from abroad and are generally unreliable. 3. Non-marketed subsistence output and output of government. Some output like subsistence farming and output of government are not sold in the market. 4. Different degrees of income distribution. If the income of one country is evenly distributed, the per capita income of such a country may be higher than that of another country with a more evenly distributed income, but this does not necessarily mean that most of its people are at a higher living standard. 5. Different types of production. If one country devotes a large proportion of resources in producing non-consumer goods, e.g. military hardware, income may be higher than that of another country producing largely consumer goods, but the standard of living of people will not necessarily be higher. 6. Different forms of published national income figures. The per capita income figures used in international comparisons are calculated using the published figure of national income and population by each country. 7. Exchange rate. Every country records its national income figures in its own country's currency. To make international comparison, therefore, the national income figures of different countries must have been converted into one uniform currency. 8. Difference in price structures. Differences in the relative prices of different kinds of goods due to differences in their availability mean that people can increase their welfare if they are willing to alter their consumption in the direction of cheaper goods. 9. Income in relation to effort. The first conceptual problem in calculating income per head is to look at goods due to differences in their availability mean that people can The first conceptual problem in calculating income per head is to look at goods and services produced in relation to the effort that has gone into producing them. 10. Difference in size. A problem which is both conceptual and statistical is due to the transport factor. If two countries are of different sizes, the large country may devote a large proportion of its resources in developing transport and communication facilities to connect the different parts of the country. 11. Differences in taste. In different countries, the society and the culture may be completely different, thus complicating comparison of material welfare in two countries. 12. Different climatic zones. If one country is in a cold climate, it will devote a substantial proportion of its resources to providing warming facilities, e.g. warm clothing and central heating. 13. Income per head as index of economic welfare. We cannot measure material welfare on an arithmetic scale in the same way as we measure real income per head. Analysis of consumption and investment and interaction in a simple economic method. So for this, we'll tackle it in the next episode. Please like, comment and subscribe. If you have any thoughts on this, please tell us at the comment section, and till I see you next time. Adios.